The Galactic Imperium had conquered 17 star systems before encountering humanity. Their strategy never varied: overwhelm with superior technology, establish dominance, then negotiate with the defeated species from a position of absolute power. Ambassador Trell, senior diplomatic envoy, had overseen dozens of such negotiations. So when the humans proposed sending their own diplomatic team to the Imperium's capital world of Nexus, Trell merely flicked his upper appendages in amusement. The Supreme Council agreed it would be educational for these newcomers to witness the grandeur of their civilization before finalizing Earth's surrender terms. "They're sending females," Intelligence Officer Vrex reported, displaying holographic profiles of the 5 human representatives. "This appears to be some cultural gesture of submission." Trell studied their images with his compound eyes. All were physically unimposing by Imperium standards. Small in stature, lacking natural armor, with no visible offensive capabilities. Perfect. The Council had specifically requested non-threatening specimens. "Ambassador Ellie will lead their delegation," Vrex continued. "The others are Anna, Rose, Kate, and Jane." "Simple names for simple creatures," Grand Admiral Pex commended. "Let them come. Their presence will change nothing." 3 standard rotations later, the human vessel docked at Nexus Station. The 5 women who emerged were dressed in formal Earth attire, tailored blue garments that matched their delegation's insignia. They smiled, bowed, and spoke with quiet deference. "We are honored by your hospitality," Ambassador Ellie said during the welcome ceremony, her voice melodious and pleasant to the translators. "Earth looks forward to a productive relationship with the mighty Imperium." Trell noted how the other ambassadors maintained perfect posture, their eyes constantly taking in their surroundings while maintaining pleasant expressions. "Well trained for primitives," he thought. The negotiations began the following day. To the Council's surprise, the human representatives displayed remarkable knowledge of interstellar law and precedent. They politely but firmly rejected proposed terms that would reduce Earth to a resource extraction colony. "Perhaps you misunderstand your position," Trell said during the 3rd session. "Your planet remains surrounded by our warships." "We understand completely," Ambassador Ellie replied with that same pleasant smile. "We simply believe a mutually beneficial arrangement would serve both our civilizations better in the long term." Weeks passed. The human ambassadors attended every social function, toured the capital's cultural sites, and participated in traditional Imperium ceremonies with flawless etiquette. They were, by all accounts, model diplomatic guests, gracious, attentive, and unfailingly polite. Then came the Nexus Hunt, an ancient tradition preceding all major treaty signings. Delegates would observe as the Imperium's elite warriors demonstrated their prowess by tracking and capturing dangerous beasts imported from across the galaxy. "We would be honored to participate," Ambassador Jang said when the invitation was extended, surprising the Council. "The hunt is quite dangerous," Trell warned. "Perhaps observation would be wiser for your delegation." "We wouldn't miss this cultural experience," Ambassador Rose added. "On Earth, we have similar traditions." The hunting grounds sprawled across an artificially maintained wilderness zone. Spectators watched from hovering platforms as the proceedings began. When the Imperium hunters invited the human delegates to join them on the ground, a traditional gesture never meant to be accepted, the women thanked them and descended to the forest floor. "What are they doing?" Grand Admiral Pex demanded. Trell watched through magnification as the 5 women removed their outer garments to reveal fitted black attire underneath. Observing more closely, perhaps, a cultural misunderstanding. "Should we retrieve them before the beasts are released?" Vrex asked. "No," Trell decided. "Let them learn respect for our traditions." When the hunting horns sounded, 12 apex predators, each selected from the most lethal species in Imperium territory, were released into the forest. The hovering platforms tracked the Imperium hunters as they began their pursuit. No one was watching the human women until the first screech of pain echoed through the forest. The observers swiveled to see a Dracovan beast, 9 feet of scales, claws, and venomous fangs, lying motionless on the ground. Ambassador Kate stood beside it, a small blade returning to some hidden sheath in her sleeve. Before the stunned audience could process this, two more creatures fell in quick succession. The cameras found Ambassador Anna moving with impossible speed, while Ambassador Rose disabled a charging predator with what appeared to be her bare hands. "What is happening?" Pex demanded. The answer came when the cameras located Ambassador Ellie. Moving with fluid grace, she avoided a lunging beast, redirected its momentum, and immobilized it with a precision strike to what the Imperium scientists had thought was an anatomically impervious nerve cluster. Within 20 minutes, all 12 creatures had been neutralized. Not a single Imperium hunter had even drawn close to a successful capture. The 5 women regrouped in a clearing, straightened their attire, and looked directly toward the nearest camera drone. "We appreciate this opportunity to participate in your cultural traditions," Ambassador Ellie said pleasantly. "Perhaps now would be a good time to revisit the proposed treaty terms." Later, in emergency session, the Supreme Council reviewed the biological scans taken during the hunt. They show enhanced reflexes, optimized muscle density, and neural response times exceeding our best warriors, Vrex reported grimly. All 5 women are military assets disguised as diplomats, precision weapons in biological form. "And if these are their diplomats," Trell said, "imagine they're actual soldiers." The revised treaty was signed 3 days later. It established Earth as an independent ally rather than a subject world, with favorable trade terms and mutual defense provisions. As the human delegation prepared to depart, Shrell approached Ambassador Ellie privately. "Your demonstration was most effective," he conceded. She smiled. "What demonstration, Ambassador? We merely participated in a cultural exchange." "Of course," Trell replied. "Though I wonder, are all human diplomats trained as you 5 are?" Ambassador Ellie's smile widened just slightly. "Oh no, Ambassador Trell. We're actually considered quite average on Earth." As their ship departed, the Imperium updated its assessment of humanity in the Galactic Threat Index. They remained listed under diplomatic relations. Favorable, but with a new classification: approach with caution.